So they like what you had this morning?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I got him fired up.
Did any of these others, before you do it, did any of these other people copy you?
I have not seen that yet. But
we're live.
Oh, yeah. Hey, there we are.
There we are.
Good job, Jake.
I got him fired up.
Did any of these others, before you do it, did any of these other people copy you?
I have not seen that yet.
But we're live.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look, there's Dave. So why do we have a delay there?
No, sorry. That was I had another window open that was putting out that sound.
Tell Dane he could not be crooked.
Man, he's struggling, dude. He gets down below Macon. All of a sudden, things get out of hand.
You got D on Dublin.
Nah, see, the thing is with Dane, he's I think he's been into that Christmas punch a little early. So
delicious.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, everybody, welcome to UJ Sports Live. My name is Roddy DeBulce. I'm joined eventually by Dane Young, but prominently by Coach Jim Donnan and our recruiting coordinator guy at UJSports.com, Jake Roos. Thank you for joining us. So we're a little bit late today. We're going to blame
me
by blaming Dane. Not these sour frosty beers that we've had here at Academia, but I am live from Academia Brewing Company in Athens, Georgia. They are open, they are immaculately clean, and they are hosting me. I'm in one of their big meeting rooms. This meeting room has all these fantastic collages on the wall, scenes from antiquity, Zeus's and Athenas and Helens and Bulldogs, and Cerebus up here because they have a great Cerebus sandwich, a three-meat sandwich you definitely have to try. So when you get a chance, swing by our friends at Academia Brewing Company and pick up some of their sour frosty beers. It has cranberry, orange zest, and cinnamon in it. That is in conjunction with the folks at ESP, the Extra Special People folks over in Watkinsville. Proceeds of this beer go to their running that program over there, and that's the type of community service that our friends at Academia Brewing Company do all the time. And I will definitely be bringing some of those sour frosty beer to our friends and family around the Athens area after the show's over. So let's jump right into it. Georgia now knows it's a bowl destination. They will be the Bulldogs will be kicking off at noon on New Year's Day, facing undefeated and frankly quite ticked off Cincinnati. Coach, I'm gonna go straight to you. I want you to just give me your kind of and we've been expecting this matchup with Cincinnati for a while now, but Georgia's got some opt-outs. Georgia has a team that Georgia will be facing a team that feels like it was shafted basically for going undefeated and not getting a shot at the playoffs. I think this is going to be a motivated Cincinnati team that Georgia faces on the first.
One of the things that's fortunate for us is we've had both sides of the coin there. 2 years ago with the situation down and playing in Sugar Bowl, we had the opts out, and our kids didn't react very well to the disappointment of losing in a championship game and all that, and just didn't very Kirby's brought it out several times, just didn't have a great prep for it. And then last year basically got in the room there and said, hey, all those are going to go, we're going to go, and if you're not going to go, that's it. So they banded together. We had a lot of guys step up, new roles, and did a good job. We got a similar situation this year, maybe not the disappointment of losing at the end. We've been building a lot of momentum, but we did, there are some guys that aren't going to play, and I can understand. If I were counseling them, I would say you got to look at the risk and the reward. If you got a chance to play in the Senior Bowl, people are saying, hey, it's one game. It's not one game. It's all those pro guys down there. It's everybody in the history of pro football, managers, general managers, coaches, assistant coaches, trainers, physicals. You get invaluable. You can improve your stock so much to go to that game, and to not be able to go because you got hurt playing in a bowl game that even though it's a big game, that's what the risk and reward is. So I can see why some of these guys are going to go. We got 7 players playing in the game. I did hear today from you, Roddy, with all your sources, that Mark Webb's going to not miss the game, and he's going to play and then go to the Senior Bowl. And that is a big, big plus for us, because all of a sudden our secondary is depleted. You got Richard LeCounte out, who's been out, so Smith's been coming in there doing a good job. But without Stokes, it messes up your corner rotation. So now with Webb back, he can play star, and Stevenson can play the other corner, and I don't think we'll miss much of a beat there because Stevenson's a good cover guy. So that helps us. And then inside, Monty Rice is going to be out. You got Channing Tindall and Quay Walker can probably do the job, but Aziz Alarji, I mean, you can't blame him. He's got a chance too to, be a big hit there, be in the first round. So you can have, I'm talking a lot here, but you can have a situation there where you can get with JJ leaving, you can get Anderson and Nolan Smith in there. I mean, that's pretty strong to be able to have two guys like that. And then hearing that Jordan Davis is going to play in the game, and that's going to help us. He did a great job last week against Missouri. Offensively, Ben Cleveland just announced offensive all-conference today, which he deserved. Ben's done a lot for Georgia. He's got a chance to play, and move his stock up. I don't know what we'll do there with Hill out. He probably is not going to be able to play again, our center. So we'll probably play Erickson at center and look at some guys there. Maybe even put Salyer inside and put Truss at tackle. So we'll be okay there. But McKitty, you can't blame him. He's a tight end going to the Senior Bowl. That gives these other guys more of a shot, and I think that pretty much knocks out who's not playing.
That's a good point. I want to go to you, Jake. When you look at to me, it's just I'm of two minds. I want those guys to get their kind of last game. When Anthony Dasher did the story with Gary Stoken, the CEO of the Peach Bowl, Stoken was like, "Yeah, we can do a senior day, and I want this guy to have their senior day, that's at least senior moment, do it with both teams." But at the same time, my knee-jerk reaction is I hate that these guys aren't going to play in the bowl game, that they're going to opt out. I mean, I'm happy that they have a chance to advance their careers. I don't think they owe anybody anything. I see a lot of people get upset about that. I just don't see it that way. But I get really excited about seeing some of those fresh faces, because I go back 2 years ago when we didn't see Azeez Ojulari all season. Remember, he was injured, coming back with, I think it was ACL or something. I just remember he was out. And then we got word, and we broke it at UGA Sports, that in bowl practices, Azeez was tearing it up and that he was likely going to play. And then he got in and went crazy. And 2 years later, he's probably going to, he's opting out, go early to the NFL. Tell me about some of the guys who could fill in. Coach mentioned a few of them that you're excited to see. I mean, you're a recruiting guy. I know you've probably been chomping at the bit to see what Mikael Sherman can do and guys like that. Who are you looking forward to seeing in this bowl game?
Well, I think in terms of the young guys, one of the guys I'm hoping to see, and it'll just, I guess, depend on necessarily where they want to slot him, but I think Devin Willock's got a chance to get in this game and play on the front. And he's a guy that I definitely would be looking forward to seeing. I know that, the reviews have been rave around him from what he's been doing in practice. Coach has been all over him and telling everybody who'll listen that he's a guy who can get in there and make an impact. So Willock's a guy that I would like to see get a run in this game, just kind of see how you're going to shake it out. I mean, look, you're going to be in a rebuilding mode on your front again next year, very likely at several spots. So you better find some guys who can get in there and play right off the bat. I think off of that, I think, if we're talking about linebackers, perhaps you maybe get a little run from Mikael Sherman on this one. I think that would be another guy to take a look at and maybe see if he can get some action out there off of last year's class. Depending on what happens with all the defensive backs, I know that there's been a lot of talk about Stokes and Campbell and DJ Daniel, and I'm looking forward to maybe seeing what Jalen Kimber can do. I think that he would be definitely a guy that I'd like to see get some reps in this game. So out of that 2020 class, look, I mean, that was a number one class, and there's still a lot of unscratched potential there. I think that there's a lot of guys that we still haven't seen yet who coaches certainly feel can get in and make an impact early on.
Yeah, I would point out in the O-line, you've got Ratledge, Broderick Jones, Van Pran, all three ready to go, have had a lot more reps than Willock, who missed a lot with his knee. All three of those guys can surface and help us. Certainly Ratledge can play guard or tackle. And then you've got Truss, who's got an inordinate amount of reps at left tackle. So I would think Coach Luke was going to look at what's going to be the best 5, not necessarily guard or tackle. So you could see Salyer, who's a natural guard, moving in. I would say this too, kudos to Warren McClendon for a heck of a year. Just named all freshman All-American by the second team All-American by the Athletic, and also first team coaches, second team coaches, all conference for all positions at right tackle there. So just a really good job by Warren McClendon. I'm not sure if that was freshman or what it was, but we were worried about that position, and our O-line to me has been the most improved part of our team all year. Also, kudos to Jay Camarda being the special teams player of the year, not only punting, but kickoff. That's a tremendous honor to him to win that award too. And I would add the one other thing about having your cake and eat it too. Those guys can come to the Peach Bowl and put on their jersey and walk out, even though they're not playing. There's nothing wrong with that. You can certainly honor them there like that. That would be a good deal.
I'd like to see that. Also, I want to point out Jake Camarda is one of the 3 finalists for the Ray Guy Award. So that's
not bad.
Not a bad day of racking up honors and the plaques and awards for the Camarda family today.
Coach, I wanted to go to Coach on this one. Coach, I know that there's been a lot of talk about this bowl. Have you had a chance to see Cincinnati and what these guys can do? What do the Bearcats do well?
Yeah, I've watched them sporadically during the year, not as much as maybe some of these other teams outside the top 10. They're now in 8th position, but I watched them against UCF, and, it was an offensive Donnybrook going down to the end, like 37-35 or something like that. They got a really good, multi-talented quarterback that can, threaten the edge. Defensively, they play a 3-3-5, a lot like what we saw from Missouri. A lot of stunning, a lot of moving around. They're not very big up front, but they are very quick, and they can a lot of the same stuff we saw from Mississippi State. They could do the same kind of, movement there. But they're going to have a hard time against our offense now that we're rolling, throwing the ball on top of our running game. So I think it's going to be a question of we certainly got the talented team, even though we're missing 7 or 8 starters, but we're going to – I like the matchup. I mean, it's a Sheriff Bill matchup. It could be worse,
No doubt.
We certainly match up with this team very, very strongly.
Dane, we kind of got talking about maybe some of the new faces we might see up there, some of the adjustments. I think the idea of Jamari Sawyer moving inside and Xavier Truss getting out there is mildly fascinating to me, just because I'd like to see what that looks like, especially thinking about going to the next year when you're replacing Schaefer and Ben Cleveland, and knowing that Trey Hill won't be back and you have to have a new center, just the craziness of all that. But I want you to I'm going to put you on the spot and make you look at this from Cincinnati standpoint. This is a team that feels like they did everything they were supposed to do, and now they're told, yeah, you're not allowed to go be in the playoffs. Matter of fact, you're not even close to being in the playoffs. That to me has the earmarks of a team that's going to come in highly, highly pissed off.
Yeah, I definitely think they will. And I think for Georgia, it's going to be some of these veterans on the back end that maybe we haven't heard a lot about, but they've been in the program for a while that could be the difference maker in a game like this. I look at the secondary, and I'm looking at guys like Amir Speed and Latavius Brini, who have kind of waited their turn and in some cases have been bypassed by other players. And I look at that and say they may be game-changing winners at this point, just because of some of the attrition in the secondary. If I'm Cincinnati, I want this game to get high scoring, like Coach was talking about. I don't want Georgia to possess the clock. I don't want Georgia to run the ball at the middle, half the time. If I'm Cincinnati, I want to get into a game where it's 50-45. You want to test that secondary. You want to get your offense on and off the field. You want to get your defense on and off the field. I think Cincinnati's trying to really get possessions up in this game because they're going to be outmanned in the trenches. So for Georgia, I know that last year in the bowl game, it was the George Pickens show, but it was also the Zamir White show. And so I expect Georgia running backs to have a pretty big day in this bowl game.
Yeah, one other thing I'd point about the matchup because I can't have a train of thought and remember things when you go to something else. But if everybody will just reflect back to several years ago when Houston was in the same scenario, they beat Oklahoma early in the year and had a big year, but they didn't make any really big waves as far as being a non-Power 5 program, and they didn't make people were talking about they should be higher rated and all. Well, they ended up playing in the Peach Bowl against a Florida State team that was kind of like, hey, we should be playing in another game and all that. And Houston goes in there and pulls their pants down. I mean, they got after them and beat their butt. So I'm sure Kirby's going to talk about that too. I think the difference for us is our team is kind of on the upswing. You know how much we wanted to play Vanderbilt. Had a lot of Mo, 3 straight wins. You got a quarterback that's really dealing right now. They got all that momentum talking about playing Clemson in the opener. You might be going against the defending national champion in your opening game. So Kirby's going to use all that as motivation throughout this practice time that we have. And the other thing that just really is tough on me not being able to go over there is this is one of my most favorite times of the year when all the freshmen that are enrolling early come over there and put on their shorts, and then they get to put on the pads after a couple of days, and just to see those guys in person, knowing that now they are Georgia Bulldogs. And Roddy mentioned some of them, but
up to 9 now.
Finally Mims in here, all these guys, but it's just a great coaching tool to kind of break these guys in, and they don't have to do a whole lot, but it's not like the first day that they go out to practice is spring practice when it's a war out there. They'll have a chance to have 5 or 6 practices, all those walkthroughs, all those meeting times. It's just invaluable. And so I think the temperature is rising here. I think the morale's good. I feel good about going into this game, about the psyche of this team. And I don't think I'm putting words in anybody's mouth, because I think our team's trending and they want to prove that we need to be talking about Georgia among the best teams in the country, because we know the 2 games we lost, the one we played, we had Alabama 24-20 at the half. Nobody's had them down like that. And Florida, we played them without 3 of our best players. I mean, seriously, Pickens, LeCount, Jordan Davis. I mean, come on. So
and without a quarterback.
Well, and to me, this
hurt.
This jumps off the page.
I think we had a quarterback. He got hurt, but he played.
That's what I said. He got hurt.
This to me kind of lines up in the way that Hawaii game did back in 2007. You've got a chance. You've got a chance to go against a really good kind of mid-major program that feels slighted, that feels like they should be somewhere else, that's had a heck of a season. And if you're able to come out and put on a performance like they did in that 2007 game, you may remember they started the year ranked number 1 in 2008 after they did that. So, this is, I think, a good momentum booster for them. I think people would absolutely love to see Georgia kind of rekindle some of the fire they had against the Rainbow Warriors back then in that Sugar Bowl. But, I think that it sets up in a very similar way, in my opinion. Georgia's got a lot to lose, certainly, if they lose this game, but I think that they've got a lot to gain in the fashion in which they can do it.
Coach mentioned those early
thing here too, and then I think it's a little bit of fool's gold to say that Cincinnati feels slighted. If you take the top 15 in the poll here, out of those 15 teams, name me one of them that Cincinnati would be favored against.
You're right. I mean, yeah.
Name just one of them.
It doesn't matter. According to them, they should be right at the top 4. I'm not saying that they are correct. I'm just saying this is their psyche. You're talking about Georgia psyche. I'm thinking this is a team that comes in and with a chip on its shoulder with something to prove. Doesn't mean they can do it.
I mean, you're right there, but I mean, I guess they can use that.
They're going to be up for it,
But that doesn't motivate you like Dabo Swinney voting you 11th in the poll.
Yes.
That was cold-blooded.
Dabo, man, that was cold. That was from the heart, saying, hey, he played 6 games. And Kirby rated him 7th. And he probably wouldn't have done that if he didn't like Justin Fields.
That's true. Before I do, we have some good news and bad news at UGAsports.com. I mentioned some last night. I mentioned some today, and it's part of our being close to Christmas. And instead of keeping that behind the paywall, we will share some of that with you after we mention our good friends over at Athens Ford. there's a reason we're able to put what we're hearing on the board and have a message board and have this show. It's because of our good friends at Athens Ford. They sponsor not only our watch along show that you need to tune in for the Peach Bowl, but also this podcast. And without it, we wouldn't be doing it. And their support allows us to have the UGAsports.com message board, where we posted some news last night about guys who were here that you may not have known about. Some of the freshmen that are in, and some this morning we posted Aziz Ojolari is opting out. Wouldn't have that without the folks at Athens Ford. And they're not just taking care of us, they're taking care of the folks in the community. Of course, I've mentioned numerous times the giant UGA themed tree they have over there and all the presents underneath it they're putting for the kids in the community. Every time you buy a vehicle out there, they either add a new coat, a new bike, a new toy. They put it into the back of this big red F-150 Ford sleigh, and they give it out to local kids in the community. So when you get a chance, if you need a new or pre-owned vehicle, swing by our friends at Athens Ford. They have tons of certified pre-owned vehicles that are fantastic. You know, you wind up getting a great deal that kind of makes Clark Howard happy, because you get all the advantages of a new vehicle without the sticker price. And of course, everything you buy out there is going to have a lifetime powertrain warranty. So shout out to our friends at Athens Ford. Also want to mention we're sitting here on the 22nd. You only have a few shopping days left before Christmas. When you get a chance, run down to Masada Leather and Gifts in 5 Points. Go in and get the custom belts, get the custom sandals, get the Birkenstocks, get the shoulder bags, get the vest, get the jewelry, the wallets. So many different gift items down there, and at the highest quality. Irvin, the folks at Masada Leather have been here since the 70s. You know they're going to be around here for the next 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years. You know, it'll be probably the only place that sticks around because they have such great customer service and such high quality items. So when you get a chance, you need a last minute gift, you can, of course, swing by Masada. They will take care of you. Or you can give somebody a membership to UGAsports.com, where they can read stuff like we had last night. We told folks that there were 5 new freshmen and early enrollees with the team. I mean, last week we did our show on Thursday. We talked about some of these early signees, and Kirby Smart came on and said, look, I've got anywhere from, I need spots for 14 to 20 guys. And right now, Georgia has that we've confirmed up to 9. They may have more. These are the only ones we've been able to confirm. Linebacker Chaz Chambliss is there. Offensive lineman Amarius Mims is there. Offensive lineman Micah Morris is there. Defensive lineman Tyrion Ingram Dawkins is there. Cornerback Nyland Green, you know, newly committed, newly enrolled. The wide receiver Jackson Meeks is there. Defensive back Javon Bullard. The other defensive back David Daniel, and then running back Lavassier Carroll. So all these guys that Jake's been covering are actually at UGA. They cannot play in the bowl game, but they can practice. Again, they're not in pads. Around. I think they have to start out and they have to do the whole acclimation thing in shorts. And is that right, Coach? I think they have to start in shorts. They can't start in pads, can they?
It's the same thing they do if you're a freshman, you got to go the acclimation period of 2 days, and then you go to pads. But mostly the pads are just there for their protection and all, just going out there. But it's more just teaching them, how to line up, learning a few things. But boy, it's one of the best. I mean, we did that back when I was here, and I'm telling you, it made my mouth water after practice every day to see some of those guys knowing they were going to be on my team or our team, and kind of chapped my ass a couple of times that some of them were going to be on my team that we were on, but didn't miss many. But you can always tell that first day. I mean, you either really jacked or you're just in the state of fetal position. God, how could we have taken this guy?
Well, one major advantage, though, to having them in is they get that full comprehensive physical and medical check from Ron Courtson and Georgia's staff. And I'll go ahead and tell you, we'll probably have this later today on UGAsports.com. There's already 1 or 2 players that are going to have minor procedures done from injuries lingering from high school. So that's going to be coming out here in the next couple weeks and days, I would say. That's a big thing for these guys to get in, get seen, see what needs to be repaired that maybe they just didn't have the resources to do in high school, and go from there. We already heard Kirby Smart say that Brock Vandegrift is playing banged up as he finishes up his high school career at Prince Avenue.
He's wearing a brace on his knees. I think it'll be something there. And I remember Tay Crowder, who shout out to Tay, who had 6 tackles the other day, for Mr. Relevant. I think 6 tackles and a tackle for loss, so congrats to him. But yeah, he showed up with a busted shoulder or something, and they had to check that out. Breon Davis had surgery when he first arrived. Some of the other guys. So yeah, it's a good point, Dane. I hadn't thought about that, but it seems like each year when some of these early enrollees show up, UJ immediately starts taking care of them. They're like, hey, we've got time. Let's work on this elbow thing. Let's work on this shoulder thing. Let's get that labrum surgery done. Let's get that knee scoped. Let's look at this ankle. Anything that they had, we've got time and the resources, like you say, top flight medical staff there to get these guys primed and ready to start their career. But just knowing where to run to when those whistles go off and those horns go off, and how to line up and what the drills are. These are drills that you may not have done before, and you're not trying to figure that out, in the first day of August when they're doing it, or because you weren't there for bowl practice, you weren't there for the spring practice, and your first day really going through it all is in August. So I can see why that's a huge advantage, and some of these guys wind up playing big. Jake, when are we going to see Brock Vandegrift show up?
Well, he's got a little bit of a state championship run to make.
That's pointless. Tell him to get to practice.
I don't think he's quite ready to hang the Spurs up just yet. No, but looking forward to seeing him playing in that state championship game. Well deserved for Brock. You got to feel great for him and his father to be having that experience together. His senior year running up there, and so I honestly, it won't surprise me if the next morning he's got his bag and he's standing at the gates of Butts Mere ready to walk through the doors.
We did break some bad. Sorry, Coach, you said something.
I think the thing about Brock is, he's had the benefit of being around here all fall and coming over when he can, I'm sure, and studying tape and watching cut-ups and things like that. And then you can send it directly to him on a computer too, that guys can watch these, start to learn the coverages and everything.
And we're going to jump in a bunch of questions there. But before we do that, I want to mention our friends at Aaron Overhead Doors, Ryan Lucy and the folks there. Ryan has taken Aaron Overhead Doors and absolutely just blown it up. They've bought a new building this year. They've expanded their service areas. He's got a social media company where he's doing podcasts and stuff like that. The guy really has it going on. So I know it's winter, and if there's a worse time to have your garage door go down, I probably don't know it. When it's cold and you don't want to have all that cold air coming into the house, and you don't want to have water damage, stuff like that. If you have any issues, reach out to our friends at Aaron Overhead Doors, AARON Overhead Doors. If you're in the North Georgia area, Northeast Georgia, they probably got you covered. They cover Gwinnett, Cobb, DeKalb, Barrow, Habersham, Dawson, North Fulton, Hall, Jackson, Stevens, Forsyth, White, Walton, Clark, Cherokee, and Oconee counties, or at least parts of them. So when you get a chance, reach out to them. When you go to AaronOverheadDoors.com, you can contact them for free. You can chat with them. You don't have to call. You can, of course. They have you can call or text them. Any way you want to get a hold of them, you can talk to them for free. They will tell you what's going on. They will help you. These are huge Georgia fans. So just let them know that you're a Georgia fan. They get you a discount. And this is the time of year where they do some charity work for folks in their area. There are people that need stuff done. They reach out and do it. And that's just part of their customer service thing. It's not only just customer service, it's the environment. They take care of folks in their area. And speaking of, if you're not in North Georgia, you're like, wow, I really need some work done. I need something fixed. I need my garage door worked on, and you can't because, I don't know, let's say you're in Liberty County, or you're in Long County, or you're in Bryan County. Reach out to DR Construction Maintenance. That's our friend Ronnie Brown down there. He will take care of you. And of course, he does everything. So it's not exactly a garage door guy, but when you need construction, when you need maintenance, you need remodeling, you need stuff fixed. They don't do a ton of advertising because it's all word of mouth. Everyone recommends them. The ratings for those guys are through the roof because Ronnie Brown is fantastic at what he does. We do not take advertisers we don't believe in, and we believe in Ronnie Brown and his folks at DR Construction and Maintenance. And again, we shout out them because they support us and they support our listeners and our viewers. So Never heard a bad word about him. Sure, I never will. So when you get a chance, if you're in the Liberty County, from where Richard LeCount and Raekwon McMillan are, if you're in Long County, which I joke about all the time, it doesn't really exist, and our friends in Bryan County, reach out to DR Construction Maintenance. Think of it, DR as in doctor, and reach out to Doctor Construction Maintenance, and they will take care of you. We did have some bad news, guys. I know we got a lot of questions, and I'll get to those in a minute, but there was this will address some of the questions. We did mention that some of the players have tested positive for COVID. I'm told that will not be an issue, because remember, when we hear tested positive, some of that is contact tracing. So a lot of those guys should be good to go.
No, nothing.
So I think some of those guys will get through, or should test negative by the time the game rolls around. We were given some names, but I'm not going to repeat those names because I can't confirm it. It wasn't a ton of the names we heard weren't a ton of starters. I don't think it's going to affect the game, but just to be cognizant that Georgia's had a very good run of avoiding a lot of COVID issues, but it's getting harder as it gets colder and you get towards the end of the season. So that's one thing to watch. We did give some bad news that Azeez Ojulari's opting out. We named 7 other players that have opted out. So now we're looking at 8 starters out. That's a third of the team. New guys coming in. But then we did say, hey, look, Mark Webb has opted out, but he's coming back for the game. And one guy who is going to play in the game that I think is a very big deal is Jordan Davis. And we've been hearing that Jordan Davis might come back for his senior season. Now, I was of the thought Jordan Davis is gone. But there's a good chance that he comes back. So that's something we want to keep an eye on. Hopefully we'll get to talk to him in the coming days after Christmas when we get the bowl practices, maybe the bowl Zooms. Maybe we can get to talk to some of those guys. But I know that Zamir White is at practice. He's going to play in the bowl game. He hasn't opted out yet. But I think getting Jordan Davis back next year could be gigantic. And that's one of the questions that we had right off the bat when we opened it up to Twitter. Coach, what would coming back do for Jordan Davis?
Yeah, I got to look at Jordan completely from this standpoint. First of all, the game itself against Cincinnati.
Huge.
Jordan's body of work has been limited this year because of the elbow injury he suffered against Kentucky. So he doesn't have the tape that a normal 5-star first-round draft choice big guy in the middle would have.
Right.
He doesn't have the luxury of going to the Senior Bowl. So that's not in his favor as far as opting out. But in his I'm not going to say opting out to me is people that aren't going to play in the bowl game. Coming back this year is what you're talking about. I think the big thing with him, his size, his speed, his intelligence, his football savvy is there, that you just don't find guys like that walking down Broadway. I mean, you just don't see that. So it's more of a potential move by him than it is a film room type deal, and the what would help him would be the combine, the interviews. I mean, he's gonna make A+ on the combine and the interviews, but so he's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here, playing this game. Come in, dominate, have a great game. If he wants to come out and go to the pros, then he's got that added thing for him. And if he doesn't, then he can come back and have a big senior year. So I can see that going either way. I think he's a can't-miss pro player. You just don't find guys like him up in the taking on blocks and getting off blocks and rushing the passer. He's one of the best D linemen out there. But, I guess you got to look at it from who are the other ones that are getting, and we'll see that when Todd McShay and those guys. And it'd be interesting to see Brent Rollins maybe come up with some grades on D linemen around the country and see how he compares.
How big a deal is Jordan Davis playing in this game, Dane?
I mean, Jordan Davis, you could just see the defense against Missouri, just how much it gelled because he was in there. When you have that guy in the middle that can stop that inside run, everyone outside of him can play more loose, can not have to worry about Do I need to cover the middle there? He's going to take his guy, maybe a second, and he'll still get an arm around the ball carrier. You just, like Coach said, you don't replace that kind of talent. The other thing with him is you don't replace his production, and a lot of that because he's transformed his body since he got to Georgia. He was not in good shape, when it comes to playing a lot of plays at Georgia when he first got here, and that has changed. And he realizes that he's got a lot of pro potential there. I think if Jordan were to choose to come back to Georgia, it's because he may have gotten some feedback that, hey, maybe instead of a late first round, second round, maybe you're a top 15 guy with a little extra tape if you can go in and dominate some of these, SEC linemen and some others. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. But I think he'll be a hell of an NFL player. That's for sure.
Here's the other point I would make about him in this game. All of us talk about baseball. How's your strength down the middle? Your catcher, your pitcher, your second baseman, your shortstop. Same thing's true in football with the nose guard, little inside linebacker, free safety. Well, we're playing without the free safety, Richard LeCounte, who is an all-conference player, is going to be drafted high. You're playing without Monty Rice, who was among the nominees for the Butkus Award of best linebacker in the country. And then all of a sudden you take the nose guard out. So, and then a defensive end who is probably going to be drafted in the first round in Alargy, a corner who's going to be drafted in the first 2 rounds in Stokes. So, hey, you just can't snap your fingers and get any kind of defensive continuity with that kind of people out of the game. So to me, having him back, having Webb back is like pennies from heaven today. Having those 2 guys, because instead of having maybe 5 starters out, now you got 3. That's huge, huge.
I agree 100%. I think it's gigantic. Jake, I know we got some other questions, but that was the one I got a lot was, our good news, bad news series that we've had at UJ Sports last night and this morning had, a lot in it. And thanks to our sponsors for allowing us to do stuff like that. But hit us up with some of the questions that came in, and we'll try to get through those.
Yeah, this one for Coach. I think this kind of goes back to what a lot of people wondering about the Bearcats. Marcus White, 46 on the vent, says, is there anybody that you would compare Cincinnati to that Georgia played this year? I know you mentioned they play a similar defensive style to Missouri. Offensively, anybody that kind of catches your eye and makes you think maybe you could game plan quite the same?
Everybody, it's kind of like back when I was in high school, everybody had buckle shoes. Everybody's got some kind of form of spread offense. Their coach was a D-line coach, Luke Fickell at Ohio State. They're a very physical team that lines up and tries to control the line of scrimmage. And they do a good job with their little play action passes and their boots and necks. The Rigger kid at quarterback is a very functional guy. I guess their offense a lot like Bo Nix type guy, but they don't have the dominating offensive performers that you see out of people like Alabama or Florida. But at the same time, they're a well-coached team. They're extremely knowledgeable in their system. So I would say a lot like Auburn, maybe offensively, and then maybe defensively like this. Like I said, Mississippi and Mississippi State and Missouri.
Also for you, Coach, Riser over on the board says, in 2018 was Devad Wilson, Brian Harriet, and Azeez Ojulari who stepped up at bowl practice, had great individual performances when guys in front of them were hurt or opted out. Then you saw Warren Erickson, Lewis Seen, and Kenny McIntosh do the same last year. He said in just about all those cases, it really served to jumpstart those guys heading into the next season. Anybody that you kind of look at out of this group and say this guy getting an opportunity in this bowl game might be a good stepping stone for him starting the momentum for next year?
I'm gonna give you a rapid fire here now. Stay with me. Truss at left tackle, Channing Tindall in for at linebacker. You're going to see Kimber maybe playing a little corner there. Stevenson moving out to corner. Adam Anderson should flourish here with all these extra reps. Also Nolan Smith. So I would say those guys. I also like Kendall Milton coming back off of this MCL sprain. Really start playing on that turf field there in the dome. I might be Kendall calling me right now, wanting to know what I'm talking about. But seriously, that was a great question, the way he had that programmed. And I remember when we were getting ready for the Sugar Bowl down there, and Roddy was sending me these texts. And he said, "Hey, I'm hearing that Largie's playing really good in practice and all." And I said, "You got to be kidding me, a Largie." I mean, I didn't even know he made the trip, and I don't know where he got that, but it was luckily he was on Bourbon Street and he's drunk, and some guy told him that, and he said, "I'll give you some key lime pie if you'll tell me who's going to play." But seriously, those guys are going to take advantage of the practice opportunities, and if you got a good team, what usually happens is, people say next man up, but a lot of times guys are just waiting their turn. You know what I mean? It's hard to move out a guy like Stokes. I mean, the guy's 3 years playing now, and now all of a sudden Stevenson's been playing star, and now he gets to go as a natural position out there at corner. He's going to flourish. And if Cincinnati thinks they're, hey, well, Georgia's got these guys out and all that, hey, I think it's going to be a little bit different than you see. And the other thing that just makes my mouth water is our offense. The way, we didn't look overpowering against Missouri, but we scored 40-some points. But, I mean, George Pickens, I guarantee you, if they're cutting that tape on, they're seeing George Pickens. They hadn't seen anybody at Cincinnati like George Pickens, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how they react to it.
Yeah, let them double up him, and then all of a sudden Jermaine Burton and Kyrus Jackson, Darnell Washington are running around. Have fun defending that, boys.
I'm going to go ahead and plant this question in your head. We'll come back to it because I just want to get a snippet from everybody on this one. So be thinking about this one moving forward. Our buddy Lamar Lovelace says, next year, strongest returning position group and weakest returning position group that the recruiting class can help immediately. Be thinking about that one. We're going to jump on a couple other things.
That's easy right now. I can answer that.
Okay, go for it.
Hey, running back's going to be the strongest position group, and defensive back is going to be the least experienced group. But I would say those would be the two that you got to look at and say, hey, we really loaded there, and hey, we got a lot of question marks in the secondary.
I think I couldn't agree more on defensive back, Coach. I think that Charlton Warren's got his work cut out for him next year. You're going to really get to see a good coaching job by him if he's able to get those guys up and running. And running back, look, that's a gimme, right?
I think he's got a little help there, though. A guy named Kirby Smart might be back there.
Yeah, that should help. And I really do think he asked which one of those position groups could be helped by the recruiting class. I think that you got some talented defensive backs in this class. I think David Daniels, a guy who can get in there and compete at that safety spot.
Daniel Green, but then you got Ringo, you got Kimber, you got Major Burns, like you said, Breeny and Speed. How much are they going to stick around? Are they going to enter the portal? But boy, invaluable what Chris Smith got this year. And then Signee, Signee's a big time. He's all American type safety.
All right. Question.
Y'all missed the offensive line. That's going to be the strongest position group returning. We haven't even seen half of them yet.
How can you say that?
Because there's 3, 4, 5 stars over there hadn't even got a chance to play yet.
No, but we got 3 starters not even going to be on the team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You replace them with Clay Webb 5-star, Tate 5-star, Broderick Jones 5-star, Amarius Mims 5-star.
But that's not.
I'm just going by the rankings. I'm just saying those boys they won't be experienced, but that is
okay. But I'm arguing with you. Returning, you're going to have replaced 3 of your 5 starters in your line. You say it's the strongest group.
Yep, it is.
I think he means physically strongest.
I'm talking
maybe lifting weights or something. Good Lord.
Yeah, they move plates to get dates, baby.
That's typical of Roddy. You give him some love about the Sugar Bowl a couple years ago, and he thinks he knows everything else. We'll have a vote there. How many people?
Hey, you gave me that much. I'm going to take it that big.
How many people would say that our offensive line is going to be one of the strongest units on our team?
You saw Warren McClendon, a redshirt freshman, getting All-American votes. And Jamari Sawyer, if he comes around, he's inside. Come on.
You think your offensive line is stronger than our defensive line coming back next year?
Yes.
Jalen Carter, Walker, Jordan Davis. Come on.
He's been hitting those sour frosts.
Next week he'll be doing Well, Roddy was right last Christmas when he called this. I hate to give him the props for being right once.
I think our line's going to be good, but there's the question from the great valuable listener that asked which would be the weakest position and which would be the strongest returning.
I think you guys
okay, I got you. I took it as which one would be the strongest from a.
You guys got to meet out on Stanford Bridge and figure this out. That's all I got.
I am going to steal that question from Riser, though. I thought that the way he put that together with the 3 guys 2 years ago and 3 guys last year, I think that is a good story idea that we might get Dash or Patrick cranking out, because I think that's fun. That's a good one.
This one from
I'll give you another position group real fast. It's not. I don't think it's the strongest, so I'm not going to be like Roddy and just say something there. But wide receivers, there's going to be a lot of talent coming back that has produced at this point, and you haven't been able to say that at Georgia in quite a while.
Getting Blaylock's going to be huge.
Let's look at him sip the tea after he's done. I love it. Also, Dane, I just have to come out and say,
Jack Bowerly. I got this, and the reason I'm doing is a national championship, 7 NCAA championships, and I'm trying to get some love here, sort of go over into football.
I just have to say also to Dane, I know that it's tough sledding on the internet down there. But you'll be happy to know that the graininess kind of makes you look like an impressionist painting, in my opinion. So
it looks like he's getting ready to do a show, a fishing show back there.
He's going to teach you how to whittle a spoon.
He's going to go out there and catch some crappie.
Let's go, Bill Dance.
Mikey Pikey over on the board says, no questions today. Just wanted to wish you guys a happy holiday. Hope you guys are able to stay healthy. Love and appreciate the hard work you guys put in, and hope you have a great time with your loved ones. Mike from California. Thanks for that, Mike. We appreciate that, dude. That was really nice.
Nice. We're going to get Mariah Carey on there. All I want for Christmas is you.
Hey, Jay, before you get the next question, I do want to mention something to folks here. If you're trying to find a last-minute gift, because, again, it's the 22nd. I know some of us haven't finished our shopping. Reach out to your friends at YourPie. Hit them up. You can buy their e-gift cards. Basically, you don't have to actually go into a location. You can buy one through their app. And if you buy a $25 e-gift card, you earn an additional $5 on the app. And if you buy a $50 e-gift card, you earn $10. So you get a nice gift for giving the gift of fantastic pizza. And of course, with all those locations, you can send it to your friend, family, coworkers, whoever you're late getting a gift for. Hit them up, send it to them. They'll get the e-gift card, and they can use it at all those locations. So if you are kind of pressed right now, the Mike from California reminds me, like, hey, it's Christmas is almost here, and you need a last-minute gift idea, hit up our friends at YourPie. And if you're trying to think about what you're going to do for dinner tonight, it is Tuesday. If you use the app, you get the double points. So you get double points on Tuesday, and you'll acquire and accumulate a lot of the free pizzas, free breadsticks, free gelato, free pasta, all that cool stuff that they have through the app. So hit up our friends at YourPie.
All right. We've got a couple here I'll run through quick.
Here's something new here. I just got a text that Will Friends going from back and coach with Mike Bobo at South Carolina, leaving the Vols.
Wow. Did you see there was some breaking news about Florida right before the show started as well?
Impermissible visits or something.
Yeah, got hammered with some recruiting violations. Year of probation, a show clause penalty on Dan Mullen.
And for what? Well, who did he get out of that?
Out of Seattle. It's a high school in Seattle. I don't know that they're going to get that Seattle to Gainesville pipeline up and running.
You get put on probation for having a 7th-ranked recruiting class? Come on. Might as well get ranked, man.
Jordan Green, speaking of recruiting.
I'm delirious. I got this COVID, man. I just say anything. You never know what.
Jordan wants to know, who are the targets now that ESD has come and gone? Terrion Arnold, definitely a guy we mentioned, but he said, is Georgia more concerned with transfer guys to fill spots or recruits? I think personally that you're going to see them leaning more toward the transfer guys. I think they're looking for experience. Personally, I don't think that that's unique to Georgia. I think everybody's kind of taking that approach moving forward. So the portal is now the new standard. That's where you start shopping, and then you move on to your recruits. I do think Georgia possibly, though, in the market, certainly I think for another defensive back, possibly an experienced safety if they were looking in that direction. Would not surprise me to see them maybe spend another position on a wide receiver if they found a guy that they thought was a right fit for them. I could see them going that direction as well. So good question there. Speaking of recruiting, H. Holland on the board. First off, he says, ask Coach how he's feeling.
I'm doing okay. Not as good as I'd hoped. I mean, I'm about like I was last week. My major issue is with my feet. I mean, these COVID toes. I mean, I've just not real good with my feet right now. But overall, I feel I'm a little cranky on the show for some reason. I usually don't go that get on Rodney and them like I probably get fired after today.
No, we like cranky, Coach. We just want you to be healthy.
You hadn't been able to get your dancing shoes on, man. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I feel
you ain't played tennis is your problem.
I've been cleared though from the protocol to if I wanted to leave and go somewhere, although I'm not going to. But I've been cleared, so. And my wife's feeling a little better too, and so we'll see how everything goes. Thanks for asking.
We're gonna bring you a little care package from here at Academia because they have the best food here. So
hey, I like that. I like it. That gets me going. But what other question? And I agree 100%. I think Dane and I've talked about it. I think it's just like pro team trading for get one or two players in there. You trade for a guy or you draft a guy. I think if you look at our MO over the years, we got McKitty last year. We really needed a tight end. He came in. We got Smith as a defensive back the first year. We got the tackle from Rhode Island. I mean, so we'll look at the graduate transfer, but, the one thing that's going to be very vivid this year is that I think they're going to pass that rule where you can any class, you can get a 1-year transfer and won't count against you. So I could see, somebody that we almost signed that's gone somewhere else that might come back. Oh, you said tight end. Is there anybody out there like it? The guy's a hybrid guy, the one that I'm talking about. He's from Marietta, and I'm not sure what his name is, but you could get one. You could get a couple like that. That's for sure.
H. Holland, speaking of recruiting, says, Rooster, who's your favorite in-state player for 22, and why is it either Travis Hunter, Michael Williams, or Malachi Starks? Those are some bad dudes, and he's right, man. Those are three dudes that are going to be battling it out into the end. I'm personally leaning toward Michael Williams just because of the value that the pass rushers have. I think he's a kid who's going to end up as a 5-star. Any of those guys, though, certainly got the potential. Malachi Starks is incredible. Feel great about Georgia's chances with him. Travis Hunter, already an FSU commit. Kid is unstoppable on either side of the ball. It doesn't matter where you put him. But because of the hype around pass rush and the need for that, I think it's Michael Williams. He's my favorite right now, anyway. Did want to touch on.
So you're basically trying to get that interview, huh?
Call me, man. Call me, Michael. Wanted to touch on this one. GATA UGA. We've been talking a lot about the defensive backfield and maybe some of the help that they might need there moving forward. GATA says staff predictions on starting defensive backs next year versus Clemson. As of today, Roddy, I'm going to throw that one to you. Who do you think gets the run maybe next year in a way too early prediction here?
Well, I guess we got to know whether or not Tyson Campbell's coming back. I mean, that's first and foremost, but I think Tariq Stevenson locks down one of those cornerback spots. You have Lewis Seen out there at, it's one of the safety spots. I don't know who plays star though. I don't know. I'll go to coach.
Yeah, I think Ringo either be corner or star. Stevenson out there, Kimber, Seen, and Smith. That would be who I would see. And maybe we might get a transfer to come in, but that looks like our secondary.
Don't sleep on young Nyland Green. I think he's a kid who could get in and compete early. I'm not saying
he could, but that's tough. True freshman first game, but
It's hard.
I guess my thing with Ringo is, I mean, and this is why I asked Coach. I mean, I was thinking with Tariq Stevenson, you know, having played star, do you put him back over there and let Ringo go corner? You know, true freshman, you know, redshirt freshman, but he is, you know, from what we've seen with Ringo, that size and speed and skill set versus a more experienced Tariq Stevenson.
how about Clemson this year? They had 2 freshmen All-American defensive linemen, Breezy and Murphy. I mean, boy, you talking about, and then they got that linebacker from North Carolina in there playing. We were right in there with all 3 of those guys too. I mean, particularly Murphy, and then they got Carter coming in. I mean, Clemson. I hope we get to play the game. I hope we don't have conference only. I mean, who knows? And the thing about 2022 recruiting that's really in our favor, April 15th is the first day you can have on campus or off campus recruiting, and that's probably going to keep moving up if COVID keeps hitting us. We got a good jump head start on the 22 class, don't we? I mean, unbelievable start.
Oh, absolutely. You've got to love where Georgia's standing there. I mean, 5 guys right off the bat that would be priorities for you in any class. Nobody lower than a 4-star. You've already got a 5-star in the mix. I mean, just so much to love, I think, about the beginning of that class. And as I had told people, what you need to watch for in 2022, and Georgia's done a great job of delivering on it, is the defensive the defensive side of the ball overall. It's just such a strong year in state for defense in 2022. They've come out of the gate with some of the best already. So impressed very, very much there early on. I think that's it for questions today. Let's talk about Christmas plans. Roddy, what you gonna do, man?
Me, we're actually keeping it small, you know, because of travel situations out there. So it won't be like years past where we had a bunch of friends and family come over. So we're keeping it nice and tight. Big Christmas tree, spoiling our one and only son, spoiling him rotten like we shouldn't do. But
There's my tree.
Looking good, Coach.
So, did you get to mention today when I was going in there and checking on the TV? Did you mention Masada Leather for us today? Or
yes, sir.
all right, good. Well, we got a lot of places you can go pick up things, but Masada would be good. But as far as me, we're just going to be, my daughter Tammy's here and Mary, so we're going to have a nice little quiet Christmas. A lot to be thankful for, and love this show. You know, sometimes I get a little bit carried away talking, but I just feel good about where our program is. You know, too many pluses. I see the kind of character these players have. I see the support system that they have to go with taking care of them and to undergo what they went through all year. And every team had to go through it, but a lot of sacrifice and dedication on the staff and players, and to get through everything they had to go through to be able to play. You have no idea the testing and the protocol, and it's just you just can't snap your fingers and say, hey, well, you know, everybody, I thought they did a heck of a job with what we were dealt with. I thought we really did, and it's obvious that I was right about we had a rebuilding season back when everybody jumped me in July. I said we had an offensive rebuilding team, and now we've rebuilt it and it's ready to rock and roll.
Dane, what you got for Christmas, buddy?
I think my poor internet is indicative of my Christmas beginnings. We're down in East Dublin where I grew
back in
up. No, we're just bringing I have 2 young daughters, one that's about 6 months old and one that turns 3 next year. So we're just getting them around grandparents and great grandparents in small groups as we can. But yeah, other than that, hey, I did want to give a shout out to the state championship games in Georgia next week, because if you look at that rundown that they have going on over in Atlanta, man, there's some good matchups on there. Really excited to see Callaway High School has gotten over their semifinals bump. I think that they're going to really come ready to perform in their game. You look at Jefferson versus Marist, that thing may be over in about 45 minutes, the way those 2 teams play. It's just going to be a lot of great matchups over there and a lot of future SEC football players playing in those state championship games.
Hey, and shout out to Clark County and Oconee County and Jefferson. I mean, you got Prince Avenue, Oconee, Jefferson, right here, hotbed of state championship, 3 of the teams right here. And interesting to see how they're going to do against Trinity, because they've got a really good defensive team. Chris Hansen's son, Christian, played for me. Chris played for me at Marshall, and they're all fired up about playing Prince. But watch that kid. He's a very good linebacker for Trinity. It'll be and see how he does trying to stop old Brock Vandergriff.
Should be interesting for sure.
All right, Jake, what are you doing for Christmas?
Oh, well, not much, to be honest with you. I decided not to travel just out of the sake of safety. My mom's got the COVID.
You don't pay you enough. I get it. I hear you.
My mom's got the COVID currently. So honestly, I think that I'm going to, my sister's working and I've been crashing at her house. So to avoid the parentals. And I think that I'm just going to have a nice quiet day by myself. And I think that that'll be just fine with me. Might have to
come over to our house. We'll get you some that turkey.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And I'll bring you some of that sour frost.
Sounds good to me. Now, I did want to say, though, Merry Christmas to all of our viewers. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, as always. You're the guys that make the show. We couldn't do it without you, so thanks.
It's been a banner year at UJSports.com. Never seen anything like it, especially with all the craziness that went on. So I'm very thankful to have a staff that I abuse horribly, make fun of religiously, and pay miserly. And I appreciate all the work that those guys do. And I'll say it once, and then we'll go back and erase this tape for all time. So next week, folks, I don't think we're going to have a show next week. It'll probably be the weekend after, because we'll take a break for Christmas, unless we get browbeat into doing a show. But we should be off for a couple weeks here. I just want to reiterate what Jake said. I appreciate everybody that tunes in. It means a lot to us, and we wouldn't have the show without you. So be sure to check the social medias, and we'll let you know where we'll be back. And we will